Bud, man, it's been a long time coming, brother. Long time coming. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
you. I know you're on your way flying out.
Ash.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you too.
Right.
I'm gonna ask you too. I'm gonna ask you too. Now look, I know you're finna get ready to go, but I'm looking at this fight. You saw Canelo Alvarez. You've been boxing for 17 years as a pro. I know you've been boxing longer than that, but as a pro, you've been boxing 17 years. Canelo been boxing for 20 years. On paper, this fight looked great because you got a 20-year guy in Canelo, been fighting for all that time, a lot of experience. You got your experience. You have 70 combined knockouts between the two, 104 victories between the two. You 41 wins, 31 knockouts. Canelo got 67 fights, 65 wins or 63 wins, something like that, and he had 39 knockouts. What say you about that?
Man, I think it's a great matchup. You know, Canelo come from a smaller weight, just like myself.
Right.
I think he's been winning off of pure skill and power, like myself. And I just think we match up well together.
You know, the crazy part about it is Canelo been in the super middleweight division since 2018. That was the year, well, I think the year before that, you relinquished your titles when you became undisputed at 140 in 2017. The following year, 2018, you beat Jeff Horn for the WBO title. That same year, Canelo was in the super middleweight division. He's been there for 7 years. What make you feel like that you the one that's going to be there, go up there, beat this guy at a weight that he's been acclimated at fighting in? He's been fighting bigger guys, beating some bigger guys, lost to Floyd, lost to Dimitri Bivol, but yet and still, he has stand power in that division. What make you think you can be the one to go up there and do that?
I just feel like I believe in my skills and my ability to adapt to any fighter. Just like he was able and successful in beating bigger guys, I look at myself as the same. I can go up and do the same. A lot of people, they write me off. They say, "Oh, well, there's never been a smaller guy beat a bigger guy that was both great in a weight class."
You know, the big guy, the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
guy, the skilled
the
guy,
big
always
great
beat the
guy. Yeah,
beat the smaller skilled guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just ready to prove everybody wrong.
But see, this is the thing though, Bud. A lot of people feel you should not be in this position.
Right.
David Benavidez didn't get to fight with Canelo. You said yourself, and I didn't learn this, so I saw you on Shannon Sharp. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. But I saw you on Shannon Sharp where you said that Bill Haney was the one that put the idea in your head that you should fight Canelo. Is that true?
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like we really wasn't thinking about Canelo. Bill Haney was just like, man, forget Spence, because he knew Spence team. I wouldn't say Spence because he the one that made the fight happen.
Right.
Me and Spence. They really didn't want the fight to happen. I think they was trying to age me out, and as they see that it wasn't going in the right direction for them, they really just didn't want the fight for Spence.
You mean
So
Team Spence?
yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill was just like, man, you need to just go out to Canelo. That's your Pacquiao fight. You need to go out to Canelo. He's not, crazy bigger than you. You can match up with him. You strong. You know how to box. I was just like, man, you're right. And then when there was talks about Spence beating me and him getting the Canelo fight, I'm like, hold up. You know what I mean? Like Spence ain't gonna beat me, so I don't understand why they already premature, already like kind of walking him into his next fight with Canelo. So I'm just like, all right, well, shit, I want the Canelo fight. Since I beat him, let me get that fight. Let me see how, I'll match up with another great fighter. Since it's always, the discussion, oh, I don't fight nobody, or I'm fighting washed up fighters, or this and that. So now what they're gonna say? Canelo's never lost at 168. So what would be the excuse now?
It's amazing you said that because when you said that, I thought about the media because over the years you have not gotten a fair shake from the media. But from what I've learned when I'm here interviewing different people, they said that you was very difficult in the past. You didn't want to deal with the media. You didn't want to do interviews.
And you
You didn't
see
want to do
why?
this.
Did you see why they I don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? They all fake. They all smile in your face, talk shit behind your back, talk shit behind, each other back, talk bad about each other, and then you expect me to sit here and fake the funk and give you an interview when you don't even like me, when you don't even like the person next to you. You know what I mean? You just dealing with them because y'all make money on content.
It's amazing you say that, because it's a lot of stuff that go on in the background that a lot of people don't know. You know the business of boxing. You've been involved in it knee deep. You got people who have YouTube channels. They feel that they don't like you in the past. They feel that they know more about the business of boxing, what you should be doing, taking advice, 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, take whatever we give you. Jamel Charlo made the famous line saying, shut up, be quiet, and do what he tell you. Mm-hmm. Had you listened to all the naysayers, do you think that you would be in the position that you in right now?
Not at all. That's why I laugh, because, everybody think they know it all. Everybody think they got it figured out and they know what's going on in somebody else's life, or, somebody else's business. They don't know what they talking about. You know what I mean? Like, for years, I was running from Spence. I was scared of Spence for years. They switched it and blamed me. I've been champ before Spence even came on the scene. I already had a name in boxing. Now Spence had a great marketing team behind him that pushed him to the level of stardom, and I can definitely applaud his team for the things that they done for him. But just the fighters that I fought, when I fought them, it's like you don't get no credit for beating these guys, because in their eyes, I'm just that much good. They just don't want to say I'm that good. They don't want to give me the credit and said, you so great, we knew you was going to beat him, or you was supposed to beat him. But at the time of me fighting these fighters, it was all, he's too small for this fighter, or this guy's too experienced, or I don't think he's going to beat this guy. He don't have a chin. It's all these excuses, before the fight, why they feel like I'm going to lose. But come fight time, the whole script is changed. He was washed. He was this. He was damaged goods. He was this. He was that. It's cool. I'm at peace with it, because A, they don't make me sleep better at night. They don't put food on my table. I don't gotta go home and see them every day. So why should I care? What they do or what they say. They opinions about me don't matter to me or my family.
The crazy part about it, what I used to always hear was Bud is a bad businessman. And I tell people, I say, well, bro, the man, I ain't pocket watching, but the man got at least a 9-figure net worth. If he's a bad businessman, I need to be doing business like Bud. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? So right. I just never understood that. When you was at 140, before you moved to the welterweight division, a lot of those people used to love you to a degree. Right. Well, especially on the social media, because what I mean, they used to love you. But it seemed like the issues came about when you moved up to 147. And I remember, not to piggyback on Spence, but I remember there was a press conference that your good friend Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, they fight. 2018. Spence was standing on the podium, and he was talking about, Terence Crawford ain't fought nobody.
And like I said, Terence Crawford on the wrong side of the street. It's me, it's Danny Garcia, we got Sean Porter, we got Keith Thurman, we got Ugas. We got a lot of fighters over here. Who he has?
Derrick James in the crowd, smoking mirrors, this and that. He went to comparing your resume, saying what you did, such. And I think at that time, that's when the social media people took sides. Spence was their guy. You coming from Omaha, Nebraska, small city, the home of Malcolm X. A lot of people don't know that. Is that why you have a chip on your shoulder?
No, I just always had a chip on my shoulder. I was always the black sheep in boxing, from the amateur days to, professionals. I always had to get it out the dirt. Yeah. I never had a fair shake in anything. I had to go take it. So, it was frustrating, but it wasn't nothing new to me. coming up into the 147 division, I called everybody out. You know, Spence is the boogeyman. I want to fight Spence. I want to fight the boogeyman. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman, the number one guy in the division. I want to fight Keith Thurman. You know, and they all said the same thing. Oh, man, he ain't even got no title. What are we talking about him for? He ain't even fought in the division yet. You know, I remember like it was yesterday. Okay, cool. I get a title. Hey, guys, I'm here. Now what? Oh, man, he ain't did nothing. Now things change up. It's not, oh, he ain't got no title no more. It's, oh, he's on the wrong side of the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm at peace with how my career went, you know, and frankly, I wouldn't change it one bit. You know why? Because it's my story, and my story is different from everybody else's story because I did it my way. You know, when all the doubters and all the people was talking bad about me and, you know, trying to throw dirt on my name and lying in the media about me and saying this and saying that, I just was like, cool, you know what I mean? It's cool. I'm gonna do it my way, and if my way don't work, then it's gonna be my fault. So I took a chance on myself, you know, and
You better
made
yourself.
it work.
Yeah.
I made it work. So now, you know, when I look back at my career, I don't have to have no regrets. I don't have to say I wish I would have did this or I wish I would have did that. You know, everything is how I wrote it out and planned it out to be.
Timothy Bradley, I spoke to Tim. He did an interview on my show, and he said that when he first met you, Cameron Dunkin was your manager.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he sparred you back in 2011. I have to ask you this question. Terence Crawford. When I met Terence Crawford twice. I met him in Omaha, Nebraska twice, and I just left his gym not too long ago. Him, Bomac Red, all that stuff there. Bernie the Boss. Shout out to all the brothers over there. Saul, shout out to you guys. Crawford spoke about how you gave him his big break, you know, in the sparring session and stuff like that. You know, he was relatively an unknown fighter, and he said you gave him his big break when you guys sparred, and now he's a future Hall of Famer. Give the fans a backstory about how that materialized into where Terence Crawford is right now, the opportunity. Of course, he put the work in, of course, but it break that down for me, for people who don't know.
Well, first of all, I think I was getting ready for Devin Alexander, and then I had him for Pacquiao too. So I had him for two camps, but I was getting ready for Devin Alexander, and I was tip-top shape. I was sending everybody home. I was beating up everybody in the gym, sending them home. And I was running out of sparring partners. So I told my manager, Cameron Dunkin at the time.
That was 2011?
Like,
that was about 2011,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And then so I called him up and I said, hey, I need a sparring partner, man. Like, I'm sending these guys home. Like, you know, I need somebody that's durable, somebody strong, somebody tough. And he was just like, well, I'll send Crawford. I'll see if he can come out. So got in contact with Crawford, his camp, whatever. He flew out by himself. You know, came in the gym. I seen him sitting in the gym. You know, he had these little plaits in his head, you know, very dark skin, you know, look kind of scrawny. He looked strong. You know what I'm saying? I already know, like, you know, certain builds. I'm like, yeah, he looks strong. Yeah. You know, very linky, quiet, didn't talk much, man. You know, he warmed up, got in the gym. We started working. We started sparring. And I was like, oh, my God. He was lighting me up. You know, every mistake I made, bing, 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 he was catching me, countering the shit out of me. And I was like, my gosh. So,
that was 2011.
You know, so after the sparring session, I'm like, yo, I sat there. I'm like, damn, bust a lip and all. I'm like, man, I was sending everybody home. I'm like, this dude just walked through me like nothing. I looked at him. I said, bruh, you ain't no sparring partner. I said, man, what's your name? And he was like, Terence Crawford. And I'm like, man, where the hell you from? He goes, Omaha, Nebraska. I go, bruh. I'm like, you ain't no sparring partner. You a world champion. And he was like, oh, you really think? I was like, man, you got the goods. Look, listen to me. Every time I would try to step it up, because that's what I would do. I would go half-ass, and then, you know, if they start getting the best of me, then I'll step it up. And if they start getting, you know, and then if they rise their game, then I rise mine. And I just kept rising my game. And I just kept trying to rise my game. Well, he rose his game. And I'm like, God, I was like, dang, this dude is different. Like most guys would just crumble. Like, oh, you the champ, so I'm just gonna lay down. He didn't lay down at all. He didn't take it easy on me, and I said, oh my god. So it went from there. So I immediately after training, I took him back to his hotel, and better yet, he had no coach with him. Nobody would. Literally, they were giving him water, and that was it. He didn't have a coach telling him what to do. My coach sure as hell wasn't telling him what to do. And he just figured it out. And I'm just like, what the hell going on here? So then I immediately like I left the gym, dropped him off at his hotel, at his room. Boom, I get on the phone and I'm like, Cameron. I'm like, yo, where does guy come from?
Cameron Dunkin?
Like, what?
Cameron Dunkin?
Yeah, he goes, what, he's no good? You're gonna send him home too? And I'm like, hell no. I was like, bro. I was like, when is this kid fighting? He was just like, what do you mean? I said, dude. I said, what are you doing with him? And he was just like, well, nothing right now. He's kind of benched. He's, issues. He has issues outside of the ring, and so he's kind of benched. I'm like, bro, I was like, I'll buy him out of this contract right now.
He said, Terence Crawford whooped my ass. And I was shocked because we never heard that story. You ain't never say nothing about it to nobody. Right. But Tim revealed that. He said, bro, like around that time, I was the world champion. I was sending sparring partners home left and right. And he said that he told you after the sparring session, I think he said you had several. He said you beat him. He said that he told you ain't no sparring partner. Mm-hmm. How was that? Can you say, did that trigger something in you when you handled Tim the way you did at that time when he was kind of like that guy in his own realm? Did that tell you something about yourself?
Well, I always had belief in myself, but it definitely gave me the confidence, I would say more confidence in my abilities, because around Omaha, everybody will always say, man, dude, you're going to be a world champion. You're going to be a world champion. Like, man, you cold, but it's Omaha. You know what I mean? Like, we got the whole world, you know what I mean, that we battling against. So I'll just always just be like, yeah, just take it in. But like going out there, and performing the way I performed against Tim Bradley, like, and him, just taking rides with me and talking to me and, putting me up on game and stuff like that. Like, I was just like, man, dang, like I just want to fight, and I wasn't getting no fights at that time. So we shared the same manager, and Bomac talked to Cameron, and Cameron didn't want to send me out there because he was like, he too small. Yeah. Tim's strong, and he fighting at 140, and Terence at 135, and Bo was just like, listen, if he can't handle the pressure, send him home the first day. But I assure you that he can handle it. He was just like, all right. He was like, I'm going to give him a day. And, you know what I mean? Tim was just like, oh, no, we keeping him in camp. I was his main sparring partner for that whole camp.
Man, that's amazing. And then he told me a story about how Cameron had called him and asked him, hey, because you fought on Prescott. And he said that it was kind of like a late replacement or something of that sort, a short notice. Mm-hmm. And he said, you think he ready for him? And Tim, this is what Tim told me. He said, look, no, Terence ready. He gonna beat him. Mm-hmm. And he said that Cameron wasn't sure, but you got that shot. And once you did that, I think that kind of like, everybody like, okay, wait a minute, whoa. And then, of course, you went all the way to the UK and beat Ricky.
It was more so Bob Arum than Cameron.
It was Bob?
Bob made Cameron offer me to fight because, Bob watched all the fights. Okay. So Bob liked my style, and, he was basically like giving me the opportunity, and Cameron didn't want to fight. So when he called me, he kind of like try to like brush it off. We can get a different opponent more easier. This guy's dangerous. He's a power puncher. I said, I don't care. He got a name. I want to fight him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He was just like, I said, I want to fight him. It's like, all right. So in the press conference, he took it upon himself to go up on the podium and let the world know that he didn't have nothing to do with the fight. He didn't want the fight for me. This was a decision between me and my co-manager, Brian McIntyre / coach. So it was cool. I'm like, I'm sitting there laughing like, this dude real life go up there and just, you know what I mean, just try to
kind of like put you on blast or something.
Yeah. But just basically, like if he lose, then
It ain't on me.
it ain't on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, save his faith. So when I won, you know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, like you didn't have nothing to do with this. You know what I mean? So I was just like, you know, it didn't matter.
I mean that's amazing because you have been on an upward trajectory since then. You've been a champion since what, 2014?
Right.
Then when you beat Ricky Burns.
Right.
Over there, you did it in dominant fashion, and then ever since then you came back to the U.S. and every step up fight, you know, you just kept winning. You know what I mean? You became undisputed. I remember a story that you said that you only just wanted to become a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it. 17 years later as a pro, look where you at. I've been around you in public settings, and when people see you, oh, that's Terence Crawford. That's Bud. That's Terence Crawford. Like, you know, coming from where you come from, you came from the mud. People wrote you off. They looked at you as nothing or nobody, as a castaway. And now look at you now. Did you have the foresight? Did you foresee this?
Somewhat, but not to the magnitude that it is, you know, because I always visualize just being a world champion. This came with it. So as a little kid, when I'm in school and we writing down what we want to be when we grow up, or you know, we talking about what we gonna be when we grow up, and all the kids saying the same thing. They want to be a police officer, a firefighter, you know, or a basketball, football player. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be a world champion. You know, I always said that ever since I was a little kid, I'm gonna be a world champion. You know, and to actually become one, that was like the greatest feeling in the world. Like I didn't have to box no more ever just to be called a world champion. You can't take that away from me. You know, and just keeping my head, you know, grounded and keep working. It led me to, you know, tackle, you know, next goal, next goal, next goal, next goal, next goal. And that's how we got here right now.
But what role did, and shout out to Miss Deborah, what role did your mom play? Because I heard people online, you know, they saw like the little documentary or whatever, and your mom saying how rough and tough she was on you. And I tell people, I say, listen, and I this is what I came, the conclusion I came to. I said, had his mother not been as hard on him as she was, he probably would be the man that he is today.
Facts.
You get what I'm saying? So people looking at it like trying to tear you down, or maybe even your mother. But I'm like, no, y'all looking at it wrong. He had to go through the fire of affliction, in order to get the way he had. If you wasn't raised the way you was raised, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I mean, that's just my assumption. What say you about that?
Oh man, I love it. You know, like I said, my story, I wouldn't change it for nobody. I keep my story the way it is because my mom, she installed things in me that, you know what I mean, nobody else could. It's like I'm unbreakable in my mind. You know, I've been broke so many times by the women that I love the most in the world. You know, nothing else that you can do to me or say to me can break me because, you know, she made me unbreakable, you know, at times. So it wasn't like she hated me or she was this. She was doing that because I didn't have my dad in my life. So she was doing that so I can work hard to prove her wrong. You know, so when she say, "Oh, you gonna go out there and get your ass kicked," and like lit a fire, and she know that because she know her son, you gonna go get your ass kicked. You know, my mom grew up, you know what I mean, around boxing her whole life. You know, my uncle, my dad, my grandpas, my uncle, my other uncles on both sides was boxers and wrestlers. So, you know, she knew the triggers to poke at her son. So when I come home and I win, it's like she taking my belt, showing people.
She
you
proud.
Know what I mean? Yeah, she proud. Yeah, you thought I was gonna lose, but if I lose by 1 point, or if I get robbed and she watched the fight, and she like, yeah, they robbed you, but she'd be like, you should have knocked them out. Then they wouldn't have took it from you, and you still got your ass kicked. You didn't win. So that always let me know that I had to do more. I couldn't let it be close enough for them to take it from me. So there was precious moments that my mom was teaching me that I didn't understand at the time. So when I got older It was just like, all right, you know, I'm losing right now, but that's not taken away from my focus. I can have all this stuff going on in my life, but when it's time to focus up and fight, this stuff don't matter. You know what I mean? Because I done been through way more stuff than that. You know, I'm locked in. I can be in a room full of chaos, and you know what I mean. People be like, man, how is you able to do all this? You know what I mean? And sit there, focus, and not be like, hey man, y'all get away. It's just because I grew up in that type of environment, so I'm comfortable in it.
You know, it amazes me because I remember after you beat Spence, you had so much praise for him. And I knew the hell that you went through online. People calling you, people who hated you, hated top rank Toby, you know, take what they give you, this and that. And it came from, you know, a lot of these people online chose sides.
Our people.
Yeah, you know, our people chose sides, right? And, you know, and they said some of the most salacious things about a black man that you can say, you, yourself. But when you beat Spence that night, it sent shockwaves. Now, this was 2 years ago, but it sent shockwaves. And one part I remember about that fight, I thought you was losing that particular round. I think it was the 7th round maybe, because you dropped him the second time, and you backed up to the ropes, and I'm like, damn, Bud must have got tired. And it looked like Spence was getting off, but then I realized you was setting him up, and then when he opened up to throw the backhand, you came with a uppercut. You had your guard up right here. And you came with an uppercut. And I was like, and then Spence just fell. Nobody saw the punch. Nobody saw the punch. And then when I went back and looked at it again, I was like, oh shit, because I'm looking at your eyes. Your eyes was locked in. You was laser focused that night. And then you came with the uppercut, and then Spence was going down, and then you turned it over and tried to hit him again, but you didn't get a chance to hit him because he failed. Bro, like, did you practice that, or like what the hell that came from?
Everything that I do is calculated and practice, and you know, throw on day after day after day after day after day, repetition. That way it becomes natural, and you start to do things that you don't even think about. Your body just started doing it, you know. But that particular punch, you know, I set it up because I walked back, you know, intentionally. But you know, yeah, man, I was, man, I'm still getting bashed about Spence, but you know, my thing is, I could have definitely, you know, went out there and talked bad about the man, and,
Yeah.
you know, went crazy, but that's just not me. You know what I mean? Like, I never had a problem with him, and I stated that from the jump. Like, I'm a fan of Spence. I always have been, you know, since he was in amateurs. You know, I just hated the fact that, you know, our people made it, you know, so
toxic.
Yeah, like I have to hate him because I like Spence, or I had to hate him because I like Crawford. You know, that's why I got so mad on the podium. Like, every time it's black and black together, we always got to try to kill each other. But it's not like that, you know what I mean, with other races. You know what I mean? Like, we don't never unite to do anything positive unless it's a funeral. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't see the fact of me going out there and kicking the man while he down, or bashing him, and you know, trolling them and things like that. Like, I was getting trolled. I'm still getting trolled. You know what I mean? But like I said, that don't affect me because you hate your life. For you to be on social media all day, every day, you know, bashing somebody that you don't even know, hating somebody that you don't even know, you know, you hate your life. You know what I mean?
I remember I said, Bud, you probably don't remember this conversation, but we was at your mom's house. Sean Porter was in there. That's when I was playing dominoes, stuff like that.
Cards.
And cards, and we had the fish fry. And I say, Bud, you're a way better man than me. You were so calm after the fight. I'm like, man, because I'm a shit talker.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh hell no, man, niggas be calling me all this crazy ass shit. You gonna sit and let these niggas talk about you? And then now you beat the guy who you were receiving. I don't know if you were receiving death threats. I know I was.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you now you beat the guy who everybody was hating you over, and you say, no, man, Spence is a good dude. I got a lot of love for Spence. You were so humble in victory, and you were so you showed so much class. Class that I never would have showed. I'm just being, I told you, I said, Bud, I said, you're a better man than I'll ever be. And I learned something that day, the way you handled that. Where did you get that calm and resolve from?
Man, listen, man. I'm blessed to even be here today. You know what I mean? Like, God grant me the victory in war. You know, I gave the thanks to him. And Spence ain't did nothing but try to do the same. So why, bash the man when we both, trying to accomplish the same thing. We trying to feed our family, and we trying to be the best boxer and the greatest fighter that we possibly can be. People on the outside wouldn't understand it because they have never been in a situation like that. So it's easy for somebody on the outside to talk bad about, boxers or basketball or football players or hockey, any sport. It's easy for them to do that because they can't do the sport that you do at the level that you doing it at. They couldn't come close to it. So if you was to tell all these people that's trolling these fighters, the basketball players, hey, go out there and let me go see you make 3 threes from the NBA 3 in a row, real quick. They wouldn't be able to do it. They have all kinds of excuses. Oh, I don't play basketball, or I don't box, or I don't play football. But you got so much to say, and you know it all, but you can't do what I do.
That be honest with you, Bud, I learned that's the nature of the beast on social media. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that's the nature of the
social media. It's just, even when people at the round table, say you watching boxing with a couple of friends, and your boy think he know what he looking at. You know what I mean? And you telling him, nah, man, such winning. He like, man, nah, man, he doing this, he doing that. You like, bro, like, calm down, bro. Like, so now you getting in a debate with your boy because he think he's watching something that he's not, and you trying to, coach him and help him understand the aspects about boxing and what's going on in the ring, and he's not trying to listen because he knows it all and he feel like what he's watching is right. So when it comes to the scorecards and he's wrong, he's like, oh man, they cheated on, man. I felt like, such and such won. That's why when you see a lot of fights like my fight, you see a lot of people say, oh, well, Madrimov beat him.
I was going to lead up to that question. That was my next question.
Madrimov beat him. Not even close. Not even close. I gave that guy 3 rounds max. And he's a good fighter. But I was comfortable. I felt like I could do whatever I wanted in that ring. Like, he was a little awkward at times, but ain't no way in God's green earth did he ever beat me in that fight.
The thing that I noticed about that fight, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that a lot of people probably felt that you lost. Madrimov, I watched quite a few of his fights, right? Mm-hmm. This guy fought you totally different. I'm like, damn, he was famed, and he was very patient. And you was getting hit with straight right hands in that fight. And I remember, because you licked your tongue out one time, you shook your head, but then when the championship rounds came out, you took it to another level. You went straight to his body. You were doing that pretty much the whole fight, going to the body. And then the 10th round, the 11th round, 12th round, you really, really came with the separation. Some people were saying that, oh, man, Bud a little old that fight. Like you say, some say that, oh, man, he probably ain't really win. Or, now you talking about going up fighting Canelo and you ain't fought since you fought Madrimov. Who you think you were, DJ Quick? Mm-hmm. You think you just going to go and beat a guy, fight a guy? You got the nerve, the audacity to fight a guy who's pretty much the super middleweight king. He's a pound-for-pound fighter like yourself, 4-division world champion like yourself, 2-time undisputed like yourself, but you did it in 2 different divisions. If you were to beat Canelo this time, this fight coming up on September 13th, you will be 3-time undisputed. Like, Canelo is a different animal. He comes with pressure. He's not the biggest super middleweight. He's beating bigger guys. And it's kind of hard for some people to see, but damn, Bud ain't going to beat this dude. Canelo going to break him down. You're going to start running like Jamel Charlo. What say you to people who say that you're going to run?
That's what makes the fight so great, because they don't know. That's what you're going to tune in for, because everybody got all these questions. Is he going to knock me out? Is he going to walk me down? Am I going to run? Can I hurt him? Is he going to knock me out? Can I take his power? Am I old? That's why you tune in to the fight. All your answers and questions will be answered come September 13th. And that's the beauty of boxing. Nobody knows, because at any given Saturday, anything can happen in boxing. So that's why I just laugh and lick my chops at people that write me off and people that say things that makes me laugh.
You like that. You like being challenged. You like proving the doubters wrong.
I love it because I've been doing it my whole career, and I love the excuses on their face. I love the hurt. They face looks
the look on
when they wrong. When they hate you so much, and all you do is win, and you win in great fashion, and you ain't cocky, you ain't boastful, you don't walk around with this big entourage, and you just real, and they just hate it because they want you to be something that you're not. They want you to be who they want you to be. So they hate that you yourself.
They're projecting.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They want you to wear what they want you to wear. They want you to have the girl that they want you to have. And when you do the opposite and do what you want, they don't like you. They say, "Oh, man, that dude, he got all that money, but man, he don't know how to dress." Or, "Man, look at his girl, man," or "Look at this," or "Look at that. I don't like his hair." Man, you grown ass man, worried about what another grown ass man doing with his life, his time, what he's putting on. Like, I don't care about materialistic things. Like, that don't move me. I'm gonna be me, whether anybody else in this world like it or not. I'm gonna always be me, and I'm not gonna never stop being me for nobody.
A couple more questions, because I know you got to go. Turki Alalshikh.
Yeah.
Is he good for the sport of boxing?
Great for the sport.
Timothy Bradley don't like him.
It don't matter what Tim like. It don't matter what Tim like.
And I know that's the guy, but I'm just saying.
That's my big bro. But
yeah.
In that sense, it don't matter what he likes. He's not fighting. But I could tell you one thing for sure. If Turki wasn't involved in boxing, none of them fights would have been made. Till this day, none of them fights would have ever happened.
Is the money as good as they say it is?
Man, listen, like I said before, none of them fights would have ever been made. Ever. Definitely not on pay-per-view.
They talking about changing the ring size to 18 feet.
No, I ain't heard of it.
You heard of that? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, I know you're a firm believer of skills paying the bills. Does it matter what size of the ring?
It does matter. It does matter.
Why?
Because you give a pressure fighter the advantage when you cut down the ring. So a boxer, we used to a normal size ring. So
for those who don't know, what's a normal size ring?
20 by 20, something around like that.
Okay.
So you cut it down to 18, that's a big difference, but still ain't gonna matter.
Okay.
It matters in some cases, but not all cases. Because, some people still don't know how to cut off the ring.
Right.
so it don't even matter.
Do you and Canelo got a good rapport? Like, there's no animosity between them?
No, not at all. I ain't got no beef with Canelo.
All right, but look, Bud, I know you finna get ready to go. Let everybody know what to expect. What can they expect from you from this
Man,
point
listen,
forward?
y'all know what I always say. Expect fireworks from me. I'm coming to bring it. I'm looking forward to being the first, again, 3-time, 3-weight, undisputed champion of the world. It always started with me. Just remember that. It started with me with the undisputed in the 4-belt era. I was third, but before that,
Yeah, Bernard Hopkins
it
and Jermaine Taylor.
it
Then
was so long. People wasn't even talking about it. That's how long it was until I started talking about undisputed. I was the first to become two-time in 2 different weight class. I'm gonna be first to be 3-time, 3 different weight class.
I gotta ask you this last one. Is this a cash out fight for you, bud?
Man, listen, why everybody say it's a cash out fight? For
You
me?
fighting Canelo. You fighting Canelo. When people get in the ring with
is
Canelo, you know how they fight. They freeze up. They be scared.
So is it a cash out for him? Because he fighting Terence Crawford.
He might look at you might be a cherry pick for
So
him.
besides Floyd Mayweather, who is bigger than me?
Somebody that he's fought from a name standpoint?
Like
His name stature?
yeah. I don't think Triple G was bigger than me at the time.
Some people might argue that.
He probably had more backing because he was a knockout puncher, you know. But when you look at the records and the titles and the accomplishments, I don't think so.
I don't know, bud. People might be looking at you like you being kind of arrogant and cocky right now.
I ain't arrogant and cocky. I just think that, you know what I mean, at the time that he fought Canelo, I was in my mind I was bigger. I ain't being cocky. That's me being honest.
All right. Well, bud, look here, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you got to get ready to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Much love, my brother.
For sure.
Peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.